And computer says we are live. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome once again to the tiny little head in the blue background up in the screen here. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live here on YouTube, brought to you by your friends at Nerd Caliber. And I'm trying to rein in those gestures because somebody pointed it out last week, so let's bring those in. Your friends here at Nerd Caliber. I am Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter as a cosplay photographer, burly adopter as a tech journalist, the Rodfather to some people, and other things. And joining me tonight, all the way from Memphis. Come on, Greg. Musical cue.
That was an actual musical cue. I thought I was just opening the YouTube feed, and I thought I'd forgotten to mute it. Hi, everybody. Sorry about the weird background here. I am in a hotel room in scenic Memphis, Tennessee. I was just saying to Rodney, the hotel that I'm staying in is right across from the Gibson factory. So I think after we wrap up, I'm going to go downstairs, have a drink, and borrow a Les Paul and play the Stairway to Heaven opening like 40 times in a row and see if anybody will murder me. I'm pretty sure they will.
But
anyway,
it wouldn't be the first time.
Nope, that it wouldn't. Let's see. Do I not have the... I'm trying to pull up the right...
So while he's trying to pull something up and introducing himself, Hope, hello. Novi draws. Do you draw, Novi? Awesome. Hello, Aubrey, hello. And I think that's what Greg was going for. Greg, did you finish your introduction?
There we go. Okay. Sorry. I apologize. As I said, I'm in a hotel room at the moment. I don't have my usual setup here. So Greg Snyder, Wonderlama Cosplay and Photography. If any of the fine folks on our YouTube channel right now were at KatsuCon, you might have bumped into me. The blue beard is easy to spot, and I was in a kilt about 2/3 of the time as well. I will give a quick shout out to KatsuCon and anybody that was there. It was a pretty fantastic weekend overall. Got some fantastic photos. Some will be on my Instagram. We've got a bunch of galleries that are going to go up on Nerd Caliber in the next few days. So if you were there, keep an eye out for yourself. If you weren't there and you know people who were, keep an eye out. I'm pretty sure I've tagged just about everybody, but if you see a gallery, you know somebody, feel free to tag it and make sure people get their photos.
Excellent. Keith, hello. Crystal, hello. Welcome to the show. I can also endorse KatsuCon, even though I wasn't there this year. It's always a blast. Before we get into the topics, I am going to flog the hell out of one of our own videos that's up, just got posted up a couple of days ago, maybe even yesterday, up on YouTube. Serenity Larkhart does a very sped up and condensed down 45-minute demonstration video on how to do pink diamond makeup for those of you who are Steven Universe fans. And it is a masterclass in full face and upper torso coverage makeup, in contouring. Serenity is a very famous New England area drag queen, so it has drag elements to it, and if you want to learn some of the expert techniques on drag makeup as well, it's outstanding. Go check this thing out, folks, if you're at all interested in how to do complex face makeup and contouring of a face that has been completely covered in a different color. It's amazing. And Serenity is really clear. Wonderfully, explains everything. Very cool. Check that out.
Just speaking of flogging upcoming stuff, are we able to talk about PAX? Is that official?
Are we able? Yeah, but yes, the shootout by all means.
Okay. So I'll throw to that real quick. Hopefully some folks out there are going to be at PAX East in not all that long, just what is that, like 3-4 weeks now. As usual, we will be doing a Nerd Caliber, that is, we'll be doing a few panels, and we are particularly excited to bring something that we've done several other cons to PAX to hopefully a really big audience. Something that we call the cosplay and photography shootout. Real briefly, we take a photographer, we take a cosplayer, we kind of randomly pair them up through the magic of the sorting hat method. We give you a theme, and you get about 45 minutes to go out and figure out a good way to make a photo of that theme. We've done stuff like the end of summer vacation. We've done themes like horror. We've done some after hours themes like pinup that obviously not necessarily at PAX, but just as an example. So it's a ton of fun. No prizes or anything, just bragging rights. And we will have a panel of cosplayers and photographers who will be giving some creative feedback and constructive criticism on ways to, instead to take a static photo of a cosplayer and do something interesting with it to tell a bit of a story. So that will be. Go ahead, Rodney.
Friday night, 8 p.m. We have 90 minutes. That's why it's at 8 p.m. So you have a full 45 minutes to do this, and then we will have a full roughly 30 minutes to critique and basically name what we think is the best. And this is one of the very few times when we will name what we consider a best out of the entire thing, because we're not doing this at our own event, Cosplay and Photography Expo, like we usually do. And because it's at PAX, there is a chance, and we don't know exactly what it is, there's a chance we're going to get prizes.
Okay, excellent.
The people who are at PAX love to give panelists prizes, so we're going to aim for that. The panel that will be doing the critiquing and ultimately the judging is, of course, the man who came up with this whole idea, Wonder Llama Photography, myself as the moderator, Bethany Maddock, the famous cosplayer, best friend of NetherRealms because of her amazing Mortal Kombat cosplay, Bethany Maddock, and premium content himself, Kehetan Elysium. That's your panel. So you'll have people who will be able to critique the structure of the photo, the work of the cosplayer, everything that goes into creating this one image. So I hope you get a chance to either come in and participate as a cosplayer or a photographer. If you have a team, bring the team, but understand that it's a random pairing. So you may not be with the photographer you brung. Anyway, check it out. We will have, what's the word I'm looking for? Graphics. We will have ads. That's the word. That will be spread out over all our social media in the next week or so. And that reminds me, Greg, send me your high-res headshot. Animer, hello. Jaden, hello. So we're going to get into our first topic, I think. Or, Greg, did you have more on the shootout?
Let's rumble.
All right. Let's rattle and roll. So that right there is Satan. Well, okay, that's not really Satan. That's actually Khan, and in fact, that's Benedict Cumberbatch in one of the promotional images from Star Trek Into Darkness, but that's the most Satan-y Cumberbatch photo I could find. The reason that it's up there, and I call him Satan, is he is in fact going to be Satan in Amazon's upcoming series, Good Omens. And that is the best casting out of all of the interesting, sometimes wonderful, sometimes confusing casting news we've got tonight. That's it. I love it. Greg, is there a better Satan than you can think of?
Tim Curry is a little old to reprise Lucifer from what the hell is the name of that movie? All I can think of is Willow. Legend, thank you. Mm-hmm. Willow, Legend. Second only to that is Benedict Cumberbatch. He's obviously got the chops. I think he can bring a delicious bit of saucy evil. He's not. If you've read Terry Pratchett, he's not demonic and evil. He's very witty and urbane, and the devil leads you astray with charm and wit, not with pitchforks and pointy tails.
Yep. I really like this casting. I like everything about the casting of this. So David Tennant and Michael Sheen. are the two leads. John Hamm, Nick Offerman, Miranda Richardson, Michael McKean. I don't even know what Michael McKean plays, and I'm sold.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's Michael McKean. I am so excited for this. Uh, I don't know that he could do wrong in this role. I mean, he's voiced Smog.
Mm-hmm.
He's played Khan. He certainly played Sherlock. So if you want sort of, smug and superior, he's got that in spades. He's played an arrogant asshole that stands up to Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man as Doctor Strange. So he's got that down perfectly. This is a win.
Love it. I think we've already a handful of us have already decided that when it starts streaming on May 31st, we're having a watch party.
Oh, nice. That's kind of a long time to wait. That's a bummer. But oh well. May 31st, folks. That's when you get to see this. The book was a hit. The casting of the series sounds fantastic. It's Amazon, so they're throwing a bucket load of money at them. I can't wait. So moving on to our next, I can wait, and I probably have to for a while.
Oh, geez. All right. Sorry. Hold on a second. I just want to throw this out there because I had not. I just went back to the article that you pulled this from initially. The third paragraph is just freaking genius. Cumberbatch will star alongside Frances McDormand, who plays the voice of God.
Yes. Oh, perfect.
Love it.
God, what was the last thing I saw Frances McDormand in? Nope.
No.
Nope.
Got nothing.
Can't pull it up. Anyway. Moving on to our next topic. Next up is the teaser image from the movie poster of the animated movie or the anime movie, Your Name. If you haven't seen this, find a way to watch this movie. It is wonderful. It's fantastic writing. It is visually just shockingly gorgeous. And that is a trademark of the director. That's what the director is known for. The news is unfortunately not nearly as good as the movie. The news is that J.J. Abrams and Paramount, Bad Robot, and Toho are going to be making a live-action Americanization of Your Name. Now, go ahead.
Have they preemptively cast Scarlett Johansson in
it? Given the character's age, I don't think that would work, but maybe she can play the female lead's mom. That might work. Now, the news is also that they have named the director for this, and it's Mark Webb, which is possibly good news. Mark Webb did 500 Days of Summer. He did The Amazing Spider-Man and its sequel, so we'll blame him for the sequel because that was horrid at a level that's hard to describe. Actually, we can't blame him for that. We got to blame Jamie Foxx for that one and Valerian. The hell's his name? As the young Osborn, as Harry Osborn. Oh, well, that was awful. Anyway, but the first movie, Amazing Spider-Man, was really good. The live-action Mario Brothers looking version of the Lizard aside. God, that was ugly. That's not the director, though. That's the designer.
Yeah.
And 500 Days of Summer fits what this movie is about. So I'm moderately less disturbed that they're making an Americanization of it. But I'm not crazy about the idea. And come on, J.J. Abrams. I mean, although I have to admit, the lens flare is already there. So
I was going to say that does explain the lens flare.
It does.
I think this is I remember seeing the trailers, and I think we probably talked about it back in the day when it came out, and it looks spectacular. And for some reason, I never caught it. I'm hoping it's available on some streaming or rental service. I will have to
I
check that out soon.
I can tell you folks, hello Devin, by the way, and hello Mad Scientist Mike. I can tell you folks that it is, in fact, available on some streaming services, um, unpaid. Not that any of us here ever check those out, because you should pay for your anime, folks. Uh, but I don't know. It may actually also be on Amazon or something. I actually don't know that for sure. Uh, I, you know, there have been live action adaptations of live action Japanese movies that have done very well. I mean, Magnificent Seven was a wonderful Western take on Seven Samurai. So it's happened. It's been done.
Yep. I don't know if you have seen Alita. I haven't, but friends of ours who are fans and fellow movie screeners and writers have given it like 3 thumbs up.
I haven't.
So
Our reviewer
it
loved
does
it.
happen.
Yeah, our reviewer loved it. Byron, who's not on tonight, and anybody else that's in our sort of family of nerddom, absolutely just loved it. I've seen some reviews that are wishy-washy, but no negative. So yeah, I guess they did a good job with that anime interpretation. But then again, that's James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez.
True.
And this is Mark Webb. Well, then again, he's been known for... There is a... I don't want to use the word supernatural. There is an otherworldly aspect to the storyline of Your Name. And I don't want to use supernatural because it's not like supernatural these days invokes horror, and it's not a horror element. It is what Ellison would call a speculative fantasy element to the storyline, which you get right out of the gate. I'm not revealing anything. Like, instantly, you realize that this isn't just a straight-up boy meets girl story.
Right. So not that we get any kickbacks from the fine folks at Amazon, but it is available to rent for $3.99.
There you go, folks. For less than a cup of overpriced Starbucks, go watch this movie. That's my recommendation. And I guess we don't have a release date yet because they just announced a director, so I don't even think they have an Americanized script. But we don't know for sure when this is coming out, and I'll give it a try. It's going to be tough to beat the quality of the animated version. Moving on to our next story. Our next piece is about, he says, as he doesn't have it queued up yet because he's been playing around, moving articles around, is that guy. The god of mischief, the prince of lies, Loki himself. And the news is that they have a writer now for the Loki series and a bit of a deeper description of what the nature of the show is going to be. The writer is one of the writers of Rick and Morty, Michael Waldron. He's going to write the pilot. He will be the show creator and executive producer. Hiddleston is definitely in. And the description now says, where were we here? I'm trying to remember. It's not in this particular article. I read a better description of what the upcoming piece is. So apparently what it is, it's stories about Loki as he's appeared in various guises in different stories throughout space and time. So it does seem to lend credence to the theory that Hiddleston is mainly going to be a narrator around the story structure. And it could be Lady Loki, it could be Kid Loki, it could be Fenris, it could be any of the various ways in which Loki has appeared.
Sounds good to me.
I'm in. Yeah.
Pretty amusing. So, as you're talking about that, especially in that format where it won't it sounds like it may be more sort of episodic and not so much like an ongoing story
Right.
with different with different anecdotes and tales from the Loki verse. um, Neil Gaiman's rather, excuse me, Norse mythology was came out last summer, and that's sensational because a lot of it focuses on a big chunk of it, in fact, is stories about Loki and Thor. And the book is great, but the audiobook is even better because Neil Gaiman narrates it. And the story, he basically takes a lot of classic stories and retells them in funny, clever, updated kinds of ways. So as you're talking about this, I'm like, oh God, please get him as a script consultant. Not that, he's got a whole lot of free time these days, but please get Neil Gaiman in there as a script consultant to just lend that kind of, quirky, twinkle in the eye kind of storytelling that he's famous for, because that would just make this a stunning series.
I think that would be awesome. Mad Scientist Mike says this show sounds cool. I agree. And I'm going to try to paraphrase what this other description of the sort of story structure is. That basically you've got a god of mischief, so a guy who's essentially an asshole who travels around from different points in space and time through a multiverse. And it's written by a guy who writes Rick and Morty. Perfect.
So there's a crossover episode.
Yeah. That would be great if there was a crossover episode. That would be awesome. Oh, speaking of crossover and references, I don't have a screen grab of this. I'm sorry, because I just noticed that somebody posted it up after I saw it and laughed my ass off. If you're watching the anime That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, there is a super quick pan past a couple of goblins who are cooking an enormous piece of shark, essentially sky shark. And it's a male and a female goblin, and as the camera pans past while the main character is saying something, both of them are doing with salt. It's a half second, and you've got Salt Guy in an anime. And it's like, oh my God, that reference is perfect. If you haven't seen the latest episode of Slime San, go watch it. Chloe, hello. Welcome to the show. And we're moving on to our next topic. This created a fair amount of, let's we say, pleasant contention in the Nerd Live News group when I posted it up. That is a screen grab from the trailer to the upcoming Frozen 2. I don't know if you've seen it, folks. It's out there. Check it out. I really liked the trailer because I really liked the beautiful animation and the impression that they're giving you that that Elsa, at least, if not everybody, is actually struggling mightily to possibly escape something, to do something, and getting nowhere. And that corrects one of my problems with the original Frozen. And that was that you essentially had a wonderful story about two sisters and how they come together. You had a protagonist-antagonist, depending on which way ultimately decided to go, that was so overpowered. There was never any chance, once she decided, well, first off, it's a Disney movie, so you knew she was going to decide to fall down on the side of supporting her sister. And once she did, it was over. There was no dramatic tension left. She froze an entire freaking kingdom. There's nothing that she can't do.
Who hasn't?
Exactly. So, and that was a problem I had with that particular story. Mm-hmm. From a dramatic standpoint. Putting Elsa in a situation where those powers aren't helping her at all, or enough, immediately won me over. And I really liked that aspect of the trailer and what is apparently going to be the aspect of the story itself. But I may be the only one who thinks that.
I think it's safe to say that this is going to be there's going to be a split. If you like the first one, chances are good you're going to like the second one. If you didn't care for the first one, I fall into that latter camp. I generally find that like 2 out of 3 Disney movies appeal to everything from little kids to us, giant overgrown kids. This just was aimed way too squarely at the 7 to 14-year-old demographic and just did nothing for me as a moderately adult human being. It was one of my least favorite Disney movies. But I realize I'm in the minority in that one, and not everything has to be made for me. That said, my take from this was Disney, Pixar, when are we going to get Elsa and Frozone doing some sort of superhero team up? Because, I mean, they can't really freeze each. I mean, all right, Frozone's married, but, who knows? Just the bit at the beginning where she's like throwing ice bridges out over the ocean, trying to get over the waves. All I could think of was Frozone.
Well, yeah, that was very much a Frozone element. That was very true, but also that made it very cool in my mind.
Yeah. So it definitely does look darker and a lot less candy colored than that's a bad choice of words because the animation is equally bright. Candy colored in the sense of very bright and shiny and happy, and as you pointed out, the dramatic tension wasn't all that dramatic or all that tense. This looks darker in sort of the tone of where the story might go.
Yeah.
Although I feel like it's I don't have the slightest idea what this movie is about based on this trailer.
Oh yeah, same here. I get the impression that Elsa needs to escape from somewhere, and they go on a journey that obviously takes them to places that aren't necessarily their island, because there's this huge valley, and it's in autumn, so because the trees are all colored. Other than that, I got nothing except that last shot where Anna grabs Kristoff's sword and swings it at the camera at whatever is coming up behind them. I was like, when did she become the badass? Again, that just won me over right there. So,
well, she probably went to Jedi Saber Training Academy, since they're all the same people now.
Exactly. Shout out to Sifu Scott Jeffries. So anyway, it's coming up, folks. Let's find out. Do we have the release date? November 22nd, folks. So this year.
Just in time for Thanksgiving.
Yep. I can see that it's definitely going to be something that you're going to be watching on Thanksgiving, Greg.
Distinctly possible.
Should I put you down now as the reviewer? Just go ahead and
throw it out there to someone else first. Just you never know.
All right. Anyway, folks, Frozen 2. Check out the trailer if you haven't seen it. I think it looks great. Very interested. I've also read something. I didn't read any real depth. You were talking sort of about Elsa and Frozone. Somebody posted where they interpreted something in the trailer to indicate that Elsa has a girl lover. I don't remember seeing anything in the trailer that gave you that indication, but hey, I'm all for it if that's the case.
Either. There's been that kind of, I don't even know if you could call it discussion. Nothing from Disney that I can recall reading would lead me to think that they've actually got the chutzpah to have Elsa, who's like their main money making character now, come out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would love it. A lot of people would hate it. I think it would be pretty awesome. I think it would be a pretty audacious move on the part of Disney. But I would be flabbergasted because it's never going to happen.
Yeah,
because Disney.
they admitted that one super minor supporting character in Beauty and the Beast was gay, and that's probably about as far as they're going to go for a while. It's Disney,
Right. And the world exploded.
and exactly. Moving on to our next topic, folks.
Moving on.
Sad news, but not like it's a big surprise. Netflix has officially canceled Punisher and Jessica Jones, bringing to an end Marvel's life on Netflix, or the Marvel series on Netflix. Good news, the third season of Jessica Jones is basically done, and they will air it. So we will get to see Jessica Jones season 3, and that will be the last thing in the Netflix MCU. And I'm sad, I gotta say. We knew it was coming, but I'm still sad.
Yeah, as am I. It's we can revisit our conspiracy theory that this is all going to wind up in some form on Disney Plus, because why give Netflix money when you can drive subscribers to your new streaming channel? But that's pure black hat speculation stuff right there.
And the fact that Disney announced with Hulu that they will be creating essentially the complete opposite of this series, The Offenders, with Howard the Duck, with MODOK, with all of those wonderful characters, and with Kevin Smith doing Howard the Duck and Patton Oswalt doing MODOK, and just they clearly are so moving on, and kind of a slap in the face to Netflix, really. I mean, it's like, we're going to create a whole new roster of 4 or 5, I can't remember exactly how many, definite anti-hero characters with their series to come together in an entire anti-hero series called, guess what, The Offenders. I mean, that's kind of putting the knife in the back and twisting, isn't it?
Kind of. Sure feels like it.
I believe the kids call that a dick move these days. So April 10th is the final season of Jessica Jones. I liked season 2, although I know a lot of people didn't. And I'm hoping that the final season will be like the last season of Daredevil, which was spectacular. Possibly better than the first season in my mind. So fingers crossed that they go out on a big bang. And that's not a joke about bringing Luke Cage back, so they go out on a big bang. Anyway.
Yeah. So, apropos of absolutely nothing, just because this title cracks me up like few things have in a long time, I was just scrolling through a quick 2019 movie release list, because there's a shit ton of movies coming out this year. Apparently in January 17th, a movie was released called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot, was starring Sam Elliott.
Yes.
And I'm going to have to go track that down because it sounds freaking amazing.
I have seen that. Not seen the movie. I have seen that movie came out. Where did I see it? Anyway. It was in some sort of news. Moving on to our last topic, or should I say last whole bunch of series of related topics. And the first bit of news is casting for Dune. So last week, we broke a 6-week solid streak of having Dune news, casting news being announced shortly after our show so that we could have it ready for the next show. And we had nothing for last week's show. They made up for it with 3 announcements. First announcement is that image right there is obviously Josh Brolin as Cable. And I picked that because it's the perfect image to say that Josh Brolin is going to be Gurney Halleck in Denis Villeneuve's upcoming Dune adaptation. You get rid of the cyborg enhancements here, and that's Gurney Halleck. The bad hair, the bad ink vine scar, perfect.
Yep, that face pretty much says "Eat lightning and crap thunder."
Yep. I really, really like this casting. Wasn't sure who they were going to do or have for this. I had some ideas. I still like the idea of Rory Calhoun, who plays the Hound in Game of Thrones, because he's used to
Yep.
prosthetic makeup of scarring, and he in fact plays a musical instrument. And Gurney Halleck plays and sings in the book,
Mm-hmm.
which he hasn't in either of the two adaptations, sadly. The next bit of news, well, you know what? I'm going to do this in order. So the next bit of news was actually the date. We actually have a date, or at least a year. It'll be 2020. No, we do have a date. November 20th, 2020. So roughly one
Mm-hmm.
year after you get to go see Frozen 2, Greg, you can go see this man as Gurney Halleck, and all of the other fantastic cast. Oh, and by the way, there were a million different articles, not a million, a dozen different articles that announced the date. I had to pick the one from this Consequence of Sound because the headline is Denis Villeneuve's Dune, starring all of Hollywood, gets a release date. It's like, yeah, kinda.
Yep. Let the Dune cosplay builds begin.
Well, we have to get the designs first.
No. Just start building now and hope you can modify them in time.
There you go. Well, speaking of costuming and cosplay, the third announcement was the next casting, and that was, why did I click on the story as opposed to clicking on the image so that you folks can see what it is I'm about to talk about? That is Jason Momoa, folks, in case you can't tell by the beard. Jason Momoa was named as Denis Villeneuve's Duncan, Idaho. The reason I chose this particular image, and this is, by the way, from the series Drunken History, or Drunk History, and which he is playing the pirate Jean Lafitte, is because this is the closest thing I could find to a picture of Jason Momoa in anything like a uniform. Not
Good call.
Not even dressed on like a red carpet. Even if he wears a jacket, it's not a uniform-esque jacket, and he's always got his usual, 27 animal claw necklace things or whatever hanging off his neck. I looked at everything I could find him every role he's portrayed, and sometimes he has no beard, but very rarely. But never can I find that he has portrayed anybody in anything like a uniform. And I was trying to get Duncan, Idaho in the official ducal uniform of the Atreides. Something that could look like that. Nothing. But that's the character he's playing. He is playing the Swordmaster. The Duncan, Idaho, the Swordmaster of the clan Atreides. Or the House Atreides.
Basically, they're sensei.
They're sensei. I like this casting for one reason, and that is the physical description of Duncan, Idaho in the first book, Dune. Curly dark hair, dark eyes, handsome man. He fits the bill in the way I have always pictured Duncan, Idaho in my head from the first description. Frankly, or close to it. I've always thought of Duncan, Idaho actually is African American, or black, I guess, because it's not America. But Momoa is clearly not that, and while he is of Polynesian background, so he is definitely of a darker skin tone than us whiteys, he's still not quite as dark as I'd pictured, but at least he's closer than anybody that's portrayed him in the movie or the miniseries. So I like that. But Greg's going to hit us with his criticism of this choice. And I think I'm not, I think I'm with him.
Yeah. It seems so zeitgeisty. It seems so, I don't know. Jason Momoa is in Aquaman, let's get him in there. Somebody in one of the threads in our private group made the point that Villeneuve cast what's his face? I can't even think of his name. I hate him so much. Jared Leto in Blade Runner 2049, and even though it was a small part, it just
That's a
sucked
pretty
all of
important
the life out of that movie. It was an important part. It wasn't a ton of screen time.
Right.
It just totally sucked the life out of that movie, in my opinion. I don't see it. He's just too much of a. Jason Momoa is great at the Khal Drogo parts. You know, he's great at a big, goofy, lovable guy who might also kick your butt if you step out of line. Duncan Idaho, you know, if you've read the books, if you're familiar with the movies, even, you know, he was a fighter, but he was a dancer. He was a lithe, athletic, trim kind of dude, and there was a lot of depth there. I was just going to go down the rabbit hole of doing Messiah and some other stuff. Not worth taking down that hole.
Just a second. Let me. Rosie Wolf, hello and goodbye. In the book Dune and any of the adaptations, this is a pretty small role. He realistically has 3 speaking scenes.
True.
So I don't see how he's going to destroy this. And one, the fact that they got somebody who's making the kind of cake like Momoa to take on a role that small. Yep. Please keep it that small. Oh my God, if you enhance this role because it's Momoa, I will riot. Then I will riot.
Fair. I mean, I'll say this: if that's the case, given the people that are behind it, I trust Villeneuve to do generally the right thing. All of the other casting so far has been just absolutely spot on.
Yep.
If he's used intelligently and in sort of the finite way that you just described, cool. And for the simple reason that while those of us who like to sit around over a couple of drinks and play dreamcasting are thinking, oh my God, Dave Bautista is going to be in this, and Stellan Skarsgård, and Josh Brolin,
and Javier Bardem, and Timothy Chalamet, and Oscar Isaac. Oh yeah.
They're well, all right. I was going to say they're not that many big names, but Oscar Isaac at this point is a huge name. Dave Bautista is a pretty big name.
Javier
Momoa,
Bardem is a big.
Having him, I don't think they're in quite the same category,
True.
The same league. I think Jason Momoa might put butts in seats.
Yep. Oh, that's true. Which is going to really suck for those people who realize that he's not in 2/3 of the movie. But anyway,
that's all I got.
That leads me to this speculation or this observation that they haven't cast 2 of what are arguably the most critical roles. They're not the biggest roles, but critical roles in this movie. They haven't cast Thufir Hawat, and they haven't cast Dr. Yue.
Nope.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing who they get for those 2 roles. If they cast Jared Leto as Yue, I'm going to riot again.
Mm-hmm.
Leto.
I think his star has eclipsed at this point to a large degree. There's some other ones. I mean, they haven't cast Emperor Shaddam.
That's true.
Patrick
Stewart, holding out. Holding out my hope for Patrick Stewart.
They haven't got Fade Rotha.
True.
I think who else? Those are some bigger ones.
Although I agree with, I don't know if your observation or Ben's observation, that actually Momoa would have done a pretty good Fade Rotha.
Yeah. He looks good in a space diaper.
Let's hope
Sorry, Sting. I know that's your thing.
Let's hope that's not where they go. Or Sting as the Emperor. I would love to see that too. Brady Wolf, what's up? What's up with you as well? Welcome to the show. And Brady, you just came in. So Brady and everybody else that's still on, we have a new structure in which we're going to limit ourselves to 5 or 6 topics. To keep this show shorter, I've been noticing that the chat dies off after about 30 or 40 minutes, and we are, in fact, 45 minutes in, because it's me and Greg. So we are, in fact, just wrapping up our last topic, which is all of the Dune news that came out this past week, which is Jason Momoa cast as Duncan Idaho, Josh Brolin as Gurney Halleck, and November 20th, 2020 as the release date. So thanks for joining, and we're going to be saying goodbye. That is our last topic, folks. Thank you for hanging in and for the wonderful chat. We will see you again next week, which will be the 26th of the month. Once again, go to our YouTube channel. Well, you're on our YouTube channel. Go and check out that Serenity Lockhart video. Brady, thank you. Please do. Get other people to watch the live streams. We'd like that. Check out that Serenity Lockhart video if you're at all interested in learning how to do absolutely stellar full coverage facial makeup. It's amazing. And stay tuned for Greg's photos and galleries from Katsucon. And Lewis, who is not on tonight, will be in the next couple of days having a write-up about his experience at Katsucon. So check those out on the website. For myself, Rodney Brown, the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber and First Person Shooter, and for Greg, Wonder Llama, cosplay and photography. I won't do All the Way from Memphis. What's another Memphis song?
Walking in Memphis. That's about the only
Walking
other
in
one.
Memphis. Are your feet 10 feet off of Beale?
Well, I am literally, if I open, actually, no, I'm sorry. This time I'm in the not Beale Street side of the hotel, but I am in the hotel directly overlooking Beale Street.
Oh, awesome. Well, go get some good barbecue and listen to some good music. And folks, we will see you next week. Thank you, Brady. Yes, and everybody, do please subscribe. Brady jumps in just in time to get our marketing down straight. Thank you, Brady. Subscribe, hit that bell, all that good stuff, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.